Good afternoon, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. May I request you to all to kindly switch off your mobile phones or put them on silent mode. Thank you. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all at Sapru House this afternoon for the 27th Sapru House lecture to be delivered by His Excellency Mr. Ayman Al Safadi, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, on an important issue, the Middle East at Crossroads, the challenges of achieving peace and security. We extend a warm welcome to the Honorable Speaker, Mr. Ayman Al Safadi. I now request Ambassador Shashank to greet the honorable guest with a bouquet of flowers. I will also take the opportunity to welcome Ambassador Shashank, former Secretary of India and the member of Governor Council of Indian Council of World Affairs, who will chair today's event. Excellency Safadi, please allow me to brief you about today's program. The event will be chaired by Ambassador Shashank, and first he will deliver the welcome remarks. Thereafter, His Excellency Safadi will deliver the 27th Sapru House lecture. His Excellency Safadi has also agreed to answer some questions. We hope to conclude the event by 4:05. May I request Ambassador Shashank to give his welcome remarks and conduct the proceedings. Thank you.
Honorable Minister Ayman Al Safadi, His Excellency the Ambassador, all the distinguished members of the audience, it's a great honor for us that the 27th Sapru House lecture is being delivered on a subject of great interest to the whole world. And India has been great friend, old friend of the Middle East people, and no one can be better than His Excellency Mr. Ayman Al Safadi, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. He has tremendous experience of both the Senate work as well as media and the government. So we really look forward to listen to him. He has very kindly agreed to spend more time on question and answer session, and therefore I have to request you that his first comments will be on record, but the question answers, in case he goes into his free-flowing style, which I know he likes, then we will keep it under Chatham House rules. So even if the journalists are here, they should please keep that in mind. Thank you very much. And I will now request His Excellency Ayman Al Safadi to come and deliver the lecture.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, dear friends. Allow me to start by thanking you, Ambassador Shashank, for your kind words, and to thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I am indeed privileged to visit you, the Indian Council of World Affairs, which is world-renowned as a forum for enlightened, deep, and balanced debate of global affairs. I'm also privileged to be able to have this opportunity for this conversation with such a distinguished gathering. And if I may start by thanking my gracious hosts in the Indian government for their wonderful hospitality. I'm honored to be in India. Your great nation has been an inspiration for all of us who want to progress, find the best in diversity, promote the values of peace and harmony and respect, and create better lives, create opportunity, and excel against all odds. Indian-Jordanian relations go back many decades. They are good, but they are nowhere near their potential. They can be better, and we want to make them better. This is a priority for His Majesty King Abdullah II, who is looking forward to his visit here next year, and who wants to see our ties expand in every field: in trade, investment, tourism, education, cultural exchanges, and intelligence and security cooperation as we face the common enemy of terrorism and extremism. Many Jordanian delegations have engaged their Indian colleagues in the past few months to discuss steps that can move us faster towards the mutually beneficial goal. We hope to see more of our Indian friends visit us in Jordan so that we can agree steps and plans that would take our ties to the high potential that they indeed have. We also value an increased role for India in our region. Your support for our effort to end regional crises and bring about stability and peace has been a tremendous, has had a tremendous impact. We strongly appreciate your support for the two-state solution, which we believe is the only path to lasting and comprehensive peace. The Palestinian-Israeli conflict is the root cause of instability in the region. Its resolution on the basis that guarantee the establishment of an independent, sovereign Palestinian state with occupied Jerusalem as its capital on the June 4, 1967 lines is key to peace. My friends, the injustice of occupation has persisted for far too long. It has caused so much pain and indignity. It has to end so that despair and anger that it produces can give way to hope and to progress. Jerusalem is a city of peace. It is a city of tremendous importance to followers of the three religions. It cannot therefore continue to suffer from an occupation that continuously seeks to alter its identity. By international law, East Jerusalem is an occupied territory, and the final status of Jerusalem must be determined through direct negotiations on the basis of relevant UN resolutions. All unilateral actions that seek to create new facts on the ground are thus legally null and void. Last week, the United Nations General Assembly voted on a resolution reaffirming this fact. India voted on the side of legality and justice. For that, we tremendously thank you. My friends, peace is a strategic choice for Jordan and for all Arabs. It is a right for all peoples of the region, for Palestinians and for Israelis alike. We must all work together to achieve it, for it is in the interest of all of us in the international community. The Arab Peace Initiative, which we are proud to have relaunched during the Amman Summit in March this year, is the most comprehensive offer yet for a comprehensive peace, for an historic reconciliation between Israel and all Arab countries. It is based on the two-state solution that guarantees Palestinian rights to freedom and statehood and Israel rights to acceptance and security. Radicalism and extremism thrive on despair. Occupation is the greatest injustice that is killing hope and that is creating that environment of despair. My dear friends, the Middle East is facing tremendous challenges that are impacting global security. Terrorism, lack of opportunity, weak governance, conflicts, and civil wars are depriving our region from its potential and its people from their right to live in peace and prosperity. If we talk about regional peace and regional stability, we need to identify the sources of threat that are destabilizing the region. And these sources are numerous. Part of them are inherent in the way the region has developed and its failure in many cases to develop great governance structures that can ensure justice, opportunity, hope, education for all. Part of it are also rooted in foreign interventions. The threats, as I said, are enormous. The threat of occupation is one that has been responsible for the great tension that has unfortunately kept the region from realizing its potential. But we're seeing many, many more threats coming up. Threats to nation states are real, and we've seen what civil wars have done in many countries, whether in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, and now we're seeing another war in Yemen. Lack of opportunity is a threat. If we look at the Arab world now, and we find that over 10 million children of school-going age are growing up without schools, that is a major threat. Lack of economic opportunity. The Middle East, 70% of the region live under the age of 30. If we do not create jobs, if we do not create opportunity, if we do not create education, then that is a threat to the peace and stability of the region. And also, of course, we have foreign interventionism. We cannot continue as a region to be subject to outside agendas that seek to impose their own agendas on the region without respecting the Westphalia system upon which regional relations need to be predicated. I think in the Arab world we want relations based on mutual respect and intervention in the affairs of the others with all countries of the region. And it is only natural that when some countries try to interfere and impose their agenda that you see a reaction from the Arab world. We are at a crossroad, my friends, and I think the choice is either more of crises. We used to say it cannot get worse, but unfortunately it can get worse any moment, and that is the fact of the last few years. There was a time when the Arab-Israeli conflict was probably the only one that generated international opinion. Now we have more of these coming up. Of course, the challenge of terrorism is a challenge that threatens all of us. And let me say very, very clearly here that what the thugs want, and we call them thugs because they are thugs. His Majesty calls them al-Khawarij, the outlaws. These do not represent our great faith of Islam. They do not represent its great values of peace. These are a small minority that are up against all of us who share in our human values and share in our commitment to dignity and life and respect for the other. And therefore, we cannot fall into their trap of presenting the war against terrorism as a war between Islam and the rest of the world. It is a war between Islam and the rest of the world against those thugs who do not represent the religion and its values. And this is a reality that we must understand. Terrorists, they thrive on despair. They thrive on lack of hope and lack of opportunity. In order to defeat terrorism, we have to defeat the root causes of conflict. And that is why we have to solve the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. We have to create better governance structures that allow the youth to have political horizon and economic horizon and social horizon. And that is a challenge that we all have to face together. We're happy that we've been able to defeat Daesh in Syria and in Iraq to a great extent. And our Iraqi brethren have just announced the complete victory against Daesh. But as King Abdullah keeps saying, we have defeated Daesh, but we have not destroyed it. The battle against terrorism is threefold: military, security, and ideological. Military was the easiest part. It came at a great cost, but it was almost resolved. So Daesh has lost their territorial control over areas that they've controlled in Syria, Iraq, and other places. But now they're going to become more of a security challenge because a lot of the foreign fighters who joined Daesh are now leaving, and they want to exact punishment on all of us who contributed to their demise and to their control of Iraqi and Syrian territory. So that facing up that security threat is going to require that we all be more vigilant. We have better cooperation, better sharing of data, and better intelligence and security cooperation. The long-term battle, though, and the most difficult one, is the ideological battle. How do we discredit their narrative? How do we prevent against them being able to exploit the suffering and the pain and the despair of people? And that is the challenge, and that we do by two things. One, we address the root causes of conflict and create hope and dismantle the environment of despair upon which they thrive. And two, by standing up to their narrative and calling them for what they are: thugs, outlaws who do not belong to any race, religion, or culture. Only if we unite and only if we're able to convince everybody that it is us against them will we be able to stand up to them. We have to look at our educational systems, we have to look at our media, look at public discourse, social media, and make sure that not only do we suffocate their ability to disseminate their message of hate, and that is important, and that's why there's been a lot of work done lately to make sure that social media platforms try and put some controls on the ability of the terrorists to spread their message. But we also have to produce our counter-narrative, and we have to, content is king in that regard. We need to be able to send the right messages to the people and discredit all claims of terrorists to representing any faith or religion. So that is the threat. The other threat is creating regional structure of cooperation in the region. It is untenable that you look in the occupied West Bank and Israel, and you have a Palestinian whose per capita GDP per year is under $9,000, and an Israeli is over almost $40,000. How could that sort of inequality be conducive to peace and respect? So we have to look at those sort of disparities in the region on a broader level. And we have to create, again, jobs. We have to create opportunity. We have to create education. We in Jordan are host to almost 1.3 million Syrian refugees. And we're proud to have done everything we can to provide them with their needs. And we look at the rest of the world, and we thank everybody who stood by us and supported us in our ability to shoulder that effort. But what we say to them as well is that investment in those refugees is investment in our collective security. Because if the last few years have shown anything, have shown that our security is truly interdependent. It is not a slogan, it is a reality. And we've seen how the ills of the Middle East have reverberated everywhere across Europe and the rest of the world. So if a lot of the, of the Syrians, when they came to Jordan, they were 10. Now they're 17. So they're either of working age or of the fighting age. So if we invest in them, if we provide them with education, if we give them hope, if we make them feel embraced by us as their fellow human citizens, they will be the new army that will rebuild their country when the construction begins. If we leave them, if we ignore them to grow up bitter, angry, and ignorant, they could be the new army from which ISIS and which worse than ISIS can recruit. So again, the challenge is enormous for all of us, and we all have to work together to be able to mitigate against it. Syria continues to be an open wound. We in Jordan believe that there is no military solution to the Syria crisis. There's got to be a political solution. We believe that that solution needs to be negotiated in Geneva in accordance with the UN Security Council Resolution 2254 and in a way that the Syrian people would accept. As such, in Jordan, we've been able to work with our American friends and Russian friends to produce a ceasefire in the de-escalation zone in the south as a step towards what we hope will be a broader effort to bring about an end to hostilities in Syria, so that we can all pivot back towards what we believe is the only way to get the solution over, which is a political solution through Geneva process. Astana has also been a very good process, and we participated in Astana as observers, and we support it to the extent that it is an effort to bring about a military ceasefire, but then pivot back towards Geneva, because that is where all of us in the international community are trying to work out a political solution. We are encouraged by some signs that we're seeing in Syria, but we believe that it is still a long way to go. Stefan de Mistura is about to convene yet another Geneva exercise, and Jordan is continuing to work with the rest of the international community to try and contribute to ideas and contribute thoughts that could help us move on that process. Again, I'd rather engage in a conversation than just go on babbling like that with all of you, but I would say that I think in order for us to move forward, we need to identify the key threats to regional peace and security in the region. And if I wanted to sum up, I would say occupation, lack of opportunity, foreign intervention are probably among the key challenges that we need to look at. How do we as a region come together and build a new security infrastructure that defines security in its broader term, that does not just look at hard security, but looks at security broadly defined, which means education, economic growth, political horizon, social horizon, economic horizon, and ultimately how do we solve the problems of the conflicts of the region and mitigate against them, dividing us more. The more the conflicts continue, the more difficult it's going to be to preserve that sense of unity that existed within countries that have been subject to so many wars and so much destruction. We cannot continue to fall deeper into the hole, into the abyss of conflict that we've seen. We cannot allow sectarian conflict to develop. We cannot allow more war to kill more people and displace more people. That is part of the challenge that we have. And as we do that, we cannot do it alone in the Middle East. We have to have the support, and we have to have the engagement of our partners in the international community. India is such power that can play a tremendous role. It enjoys tremendous respect across the region. It has historically been a voice for reason and a voice for peace and reconciliation. And I think the more engagement we get from India, the better chances we will have as a global community to address the challenges and bring out the peace and the prosperity that the Middle East has long been denied, and its people, all its people, deserve. I'll stop at that, sir, and I'll be more than happy to engage in a conversation with you all. Thank you so much.
His Excellency, the Minister, we thank you very much indeed for your very comprehensive and succinct lecture on the Middle East at Crossroads. And I think you have very clearly laid out the roadmap. And I'm glad that you have found also an important role for friends like India in the finding a solution. though it will not be of the same type as we are finding right now, that at one time we had thought that things are moving in a very positive manner and personal interests had been involved in the bringing out of a reasonable solution. But certainly something went wrong, so we do not know how things are there, but we would be looking forward to have more during the course of the interaction. But I must also tell you that I think at 4 o'clock, His Excellency the Minister has a meeting, so we will perhaps have about 20 minutes for question-answer session, and you can answer from here, sir. Yeah, Ambassador Fabian.
Thank you, Chair. Excellency, that has been, what shall I say, brilliant brevity and exceptionally refreshing. And before I ask you the question, I just want to make an observation about Jordan and India. I want to tell you that how much we in India are beholden to you for what you did for Indians in 1990-91 when we evacuated our nationals from Kuwait and Iraq. With what true friendship you treated them. Now, coming to the question, you summed up the challenges and you said that occupation was, top the list. So I want to